Encouraging, empowering, inspiring each other on this journey of faith. United in purpose, sisters in love we are. Women were leaders.
Hello, Women World Leaders. This is Dr. Gia, your Monday podcaster, and welcome to our podcast for Women World Leaders. This morning, I am joining you from the theme of position and postured. We are coming from the scripture of Esther 4 and 14. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? I want you to think for a moment, my sisters, where this message speaks to you just from the title alone of position and postured. Where are you in your life at this very moment as the words that are coming from my mouth are hitting you in a place where you've went before the Lord and your thoughts before him are, God, am I where you want me to be? Am I in the right position? And is my heart postured not just for the position, but for the purpose of the position? Oftentimes, we go through life seeking a greater depth and a greater understanding of alignment with the will of God, living in his developing will, living in his will of righteousness, living in his metron that was ordained for our lives from the very inception of time. But have you stopped for a moment to say, God, am I still in the developing will of my life that you said long time ago? Or now am I living and walking, positioned and postured in the manifested will of God? So I want us to think about our dear sister Esther and how she showed up in a place, in a position that even she didn't fully understand that she would be in, but she was positioned and postured not just for her own doing, not for her own being, not for her own existence, but for the mere fact that the text challenges us this morning to think of who knew that she would be the very solution, who knew that she would be the very answer for her people. And as the text says on today, yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? And so I ask you, my sisters, who knows whether you have been positioned and postured for the kingdom for such a time as this? Please be encouraged to know that you have not been randomly placed. You are strategically positioned by God for impact. You are positioned by God intentionally and purposely. God has not made a mistake about where you are supposed to be in this very moment, even if it doesn't feel good, even if it's challenging you, even if it's stretching you out of your comfort zones, even if it's causing you to think on matters that you never thought you would have to consider, even if it's causing you to make some decisions in your family, in your business, in your relationships, in your very own mental well-being and your health, even if it's causing you to think about matters that you never thought you would have to consider at this particular moment in time in your life. And you're standing before God and you're like, God, I'm in this random place that seems to be random to me, but I want to tell you that you're not randomly placed anywhere. God has put you where you are because you are the woman for the job. You have been strategically placed and positioned by God because God knows that not only are you the woman for the job, but he's created you for this position. He's put everything in you for this position. He has strengthened you for this position. You have been refined by fire for this position. You have been tested, tried, and proven for this position. And I understand that right now you're wondering, God, why me? Little old me has been positioned and postured. But my sister, you are the woman for the job. So as you think about being postured, I want you to understand that posture is about how we stand. It's about our attitude, our faith, and our readiness to respond to God's call and to respond to the will of God for our lives and to be examples of who God has called us to be in a time of living, in a time of life and the dispensation of the church where we have to be God's examples, to be postured for him. to be his voice, to be his very ears, to be the heart of him, to exemplar his love, his commitment, his covenant, and his well doing in the midst of everything that's happening. God is posturing us to stand. He's shifting our attitudes from that of I to that of we to that of kingdom. He's stretching our faith in places where FOMO, fear of missing out, and faithlessness have overtaken faith and has caused fear to be greater than our faithfulness, and has caused us to shadow back or to step back into places where God has pushed us and propelled us and postured us and has called us to a place to be ready to respond to his call, to respond to the will, to respond to the way, to respond to his word. You have been clothed with strength and dignity. You laugh at the days to come because God has postured you, my sister. So, no matter your position, your posture is going to be that which determines your breakthrough. So, I need you to stay humble on today. I need you to stay hopeful on today and to be in a place where your hand is open, where God can continue to place everything that you need for the position that you've been postured to do, to till the land, to do the work, to uplift, empower, encourage, and exalt his people, that he may be exhorted, that he may be glorified, that he may get the glory in all that we do, but even more so that you may fully understand that you have been equipped for this moment, that you have been strengthened for this moment, that your stature and your posture for this moment has been planned long before your birth, that God knew that you would be here. He is not by any means or measure surprised by the things that take us off guard, because he's sovereign in all his ways. He is the all-knowing God. He's the omnipotent God. He's the omniscient God. And please know and understand that he already knew that you would have to be here, that you would be the one that he would choose, that you would be the one that he would call forth, that you would be the one that he would send back to the place of knowing, back to the place of familiarity, back to the place that broke you to build you so that you could be in this place that postured you for your breakthrough. So stay still, my sister. Stay still, my sister. Stay humble, stay hopeful, and open handed for God to use you mightily for this moment. You are positioned on purpose. Your past doesn't disqualify you. What you've had to overcome, what you've had to stand through, the rubble you've had to maneuver yourself through, it didn't disqualify you, but on the contrary, it prepared you. Nothing is wasted by God. God uses everything from the least to the greatest, from the very minor crumb to the big fullness of the entire pastry. God uses everything to bring forth his will. God sees what we don't see. He knows what we don't know. He has an understanding that supersedes our very own capacity and knowledge on any given day. God understands that we're going to question our abilities. God understands that we're going to disqualify our very own selves because we are going to condemn ourselves for feeling as if we're unworthy, that we're not enough, that we don't have enough, that we don't know enough, that we haven't been through enough. Glory to God. But I want to tell you on today that your past did not disqualify you, but it prepared you. It propelled you into this place right here. It showed you some things about who you were and now who you are. It showed you about the people, the places, and the things that were surrounding you. It dipped you in the oil of gladness, and it allowed you to shower amongst God's people to be anointed for such this moment. I want to tell you that the very thing that you thought was going to break you was the very thing that ushered you into the place of deliverance, wholeness, restoration, and replenishment. It was the very thing that put you before the hands and feet of the throne of grace and mercy, that you could be washed, to be made whole, that you could be strengthened so that you could stand in this place of posture and be positioned without fear or worry. What you went through in your past was the very thing that needed to speak to your present so that you could go forth in your future with all boldness and authority. So understand, you have been positioned, my sister, on purpose. Your posture for your heart, for obedience, has positioned you here. For such a time as this, you've been postured with strength and dignity. And after having done all to stand, you are standing firmly. So be ready to say yes, like Mary. Be it unto me according to your word. Be ready to say yes, even when you think that you are not enough. Be ready to say yes when everything and everybody counted you out of the game. Be ready to say yes, even when no seems easier, but really there is no alternative. Be ready to say yes because you've been waiting for God to show you what He has for you. You've been waiting for God to open up the windows of heaven before you. You've put this before your prayer time. You've put this in the hands of the intercessors. You've laid this thing before the throne of grace and mercy. You've oiled this thing down. You've fasted over this. You've prayed over this. You've toiled over this. You've tarried over this. And it is now time for your yes to be birthed through the canal of destiny and purpose. So posture your heart for obedience. Posture your heart to say, God, you have my yes and you have my eternal yes. That be it unto me, Lord, that you would choose me in this moment to birth forth the promise, to birth forth the preparation of destiny for those that will come behind me, that there's a generation attached to my posture, that there's a generation attached to my obedience, that there is a generation that my position is setting up their position, and all I have to do is to be ready to say yes. Stay in position, my sisters, even when your yes seems hard. Sometimes we'll feel unseen, but our faithfulness is seen by God. We have to graduate from needing everybody to validate what we're doing and how we're doing it. We have to remove ourselves from a place where we need others to let our position be their yes, as opposed to being our yes authentically and with authority. We have to remove ourselves from the scent of needing everybody else to know that I'm here, I've arrived, over just allowing your scent to show up in the room and demand and command your presence. Stay in position even when it's hard. Stay in position when even it looks as if no one's for you and no one's standing, no one's clapping, no one's cheering, no one even understands that what you've paid to be here. No one understands that the cost has been great, the sacrifices have been many, but you still must stay in position. You must stay in position when you are shadow boxing with your doubts, your unbelief, and your fear. You must stay in position when you really want to back this thing up into reverse and just park and not move. And you want to shine amidst the shadow of those that have become before you. But I tell you on today that you are not to shine in the shadow, but you are to stand on the shoulders of giants. But you must stay in position because your faithfulness is seen by God. You are the woman postured in worship, and it is unstoppable. When we worship instead of worrying, you have opened the door for God to move in the secret place. You've opened the door for God to dwell in a space that's intimate between you and Him. You've allowed God to come into a place where He can maneuver around an environment that is sacred, an environment that is holy, an environment that is sterile. You've allowed God to show you Him in places and ways that only in this moment of worship, that only in this moment of praise, that only in this place where you have postured yourself to worship God in season, out of season, and every season, where you have postured yourself that your worship would be acceptable unto Him. And He has opened His ears, and it's a sweet aroma unto His nostrils. Worship Him instead of worrying. Worship Him instead of exhausting yourselves about the should haves, the would haves, and the maybe. Worship Him about the things that you know that through worship He can tap right into your spirit. He can tap right into the belly of your bosom, and He can speak to the places that you've allowed to crumble of the cistern, as opposed to birth through the canal of life, living, and love. Go ahead and let God tap into your worship where He inhabits the praises of His people. Allow God to fill your worship like never before. Allow your worship to crack open the gates of hell and open up the aroma of heaven to hear you make a sweet noise before the throne of grace. Allow Allow your worship to bring healing. Allow your worship to bring deliverance. Allow your worship to separate you from those things that have kept you stagnant as opposed to kept you moving. Allow your worship to be the thing that you stand on strongly. So you need to be encouraged in this today, my sisters, that it is your worship that positions you. It is your worship that postures you, that gives you the know-withal to stand when it's hard, that allows you to be ready to say yes, that understands that your past is not a disqualifier, but it's a qualifier for God to use your mess to bless. I want you to understand that we have to be an encouragement to each other to stand strong, that we have to be the community that helps one another to stay rightly positioned and postured, as if we've been planted by streams of water. Our posture determines our fruitfulness. So today, my sisters, make the declaration that I am positioned by God. I'm postured in faith and prepared for every good work He has called me to do. I dare you to trust God in this season. I dare you to trust God in this dispensation of time. I dare you to give Him everything that you've tried to carry on your own for years. I dare you to open up your hands and unclench your fists so that God can position Himself within you and use you mightily. I dare you to position yourself with a posture that says, though they slay me, yet will I trust them. I dare you to position yourself so that for every no, that for every nay, that for every she ain't gonna be able to do it, she ain't got what it takes, she ain't going to, she ain't want to, every ain't that said you couldn't, I dare you to stay positioned and postured and watch God work. So my sisters, be encouraged on today to know that you have been postured and positioned on purpose, to know that you have been put in this situation, in this circumstance, in this trial, this tribulation, for the victory is already yours. God bless you and have an amazing, amazing day.